What's up, you guys? My name is Hutch. With me, as always, is Gio, or Active Bunny Foo.
What's going on, everyone?
And you guys are listening to Podcast and Chill, ideally a weekly podcast. This week's is a little late. You guys can blame me for that one. I wanted to make sure that I saw Star Wars twice before talking about it, which is what
Big ol'
this
weirdo.
which is what this episode is about. This episode is going to be exclusively about Star Wars. It's going to be super spoiler heavy, so if you guys haven't seen the movie, you might want to bookmark this and come back to it later. But we do have a guest this week. We were kind of scrambling last minute to find one, and Mr. Nick Fenton here was gracious enough to step in and help us out.
I'm probably the best last minute podcast guest ever.
You said yes, friend, and that's what's important.
That's all we
Friendship.
wanted.
That's
we
true.
We just wanted a yes.
This is consent.
I would have taken like my neighbor at a certain, because I did want this to be
You
like
should do that.
I don't really like my neighbor, to be truthful with you. He said some weird shit
That
to me
would
when I
make it
first moved
better.
in.
That would make a great episode.
Yeah,
But what
maybe-
if you like? What if you bond over movies that you like?
Yeah, we could break down those walls and start building bridges left and right.
Yeah.
You might be right. You might be onto something.
You could be your best friend and you don't even know it yet.
New movie bud.
Unlikely, but you never know with these things. So I figured the way that we a good way for us to discuss Star Wars is to just go over some questions. I wrote some down. Gio, if you think of any, just hop in. Nick, if you think of any, just hop in. It doesn't really matter. But here's the first question that I want to ask you guys. Who is your favorite new character and why?
BB-8.
I was about to say BB-8.
He
Is BB-8
stole
an
every
answer?
scene he was in. That little robot was incredible.
So
Yeah.
So both of your answers is BB-8.
Yes.
Can you
Yeah.
go into further detail as to why he deserves the top spot for you?
It's interesting that it's a hard thing to do to bring so much emotion and character to a character that doesn't speak English. That you don't understand what he's saying. He just makes beeping sounds.
Mhm.
And I feel like it's really hard to bring like a lot of emotion and hilarity to that kind of thing, and I think they did it perfectly.
What about you,
mean,
Nick?
I was sold as soon as the little like lighter thumbs up
Yeah.
scene. Like that's all it took. I was like, yeah, BB-8. I mean, he already won me over like earlier in the movie, but like that like sealed the deal. I was like, yeah, this robot is the best. Plus, he's smaller and he's cute and he's orange.
And
He's
they
like a little roly-poly.
and they opened the
He's just
movie with him
adorable.
too, and it was such a good opening. Too,
Yeah.
so I can understand. He was near the top of my list. I had to put Rey at the top of my list, just 'cause I thought she was so good in that role, and it was like a really cool thing to see, like a cool, refreshing thing to see. There was a girl that was basically, by the end of it, she was basically like the main protagonist.
Yeah.
And it didn't make too much of a big deal over the fact that she was a girl. There was only some aside lines when they were running, and he kept on trying to hold her hand, and she just kept on insisting, "No, I can take care of myself." And that was it for the rest of the movie. And I thought she was just I don't think she had a whole lot of acting experience going into this, and I thought that she just brought a whole lot of intensity to that role. It was really easy for me to get lost in that. Who was your least favorite new character?
Poe Dameron, I guess, because he gets the least screen time, but I don't think I like dislike him. I'd say out of like the main three human actors that got introduced of the new people, I'd probably say Poe, just because he like was the most side character of them.
So it's not for lack of liking him.
No,
It was
it's just because he had the least screen time.
What about you,
Yeah.
Bunny?
I would have to go with Poe as well, just because we didn't really know much about him.
Well, see,
Actually-
I mean, like it's not just the three characters. There were a whole lot of new characters in this. So
I actually want to change my answer. I'm changing it to Kylo. Well, not really Kylo Ren, but Kylo Ren when he has his mask off, because like I knew I knew it was Adam Driver going into the movie, and I know what Adam Driver looks like, but like the whole build up, he was such a badass, and as soon as he took his mask off, I was
He
like,
turns into a little bitch.
yeah, I was like, it like took something away from it for me. It was like he looked like Anakin in Episode 3, just like sort of long hair, kind of just like sort of
I also
teenagey.
feel like he tried to be Anakin a little too much when he had his mask off. I felt like that's what he was trying to draw from when he was acting the character.
yeah.
And I feel like kind of, I don't know, dissuade. a
Like
lot of
Kylo
things.
Ren with his mask on, I'm all about it. He's going nuts. He's slashing at computers. There's stormtroopers running away because he's throwing a fit.
That
I'm
was
all
fun.
about that. but like as
Yeah.
soon as the mask comes off, I'm just like thrown for a loop. I'm like, oh yeah, this is what this badass looks like. He's
Yeah,
just like an
I
angry college age student.
I feel like that was always like the whole like mystery and coolness about Darth Vader was you never really saw his face until the end, like of that trilogy and stuff like that. So I think that was the same thing with Kylo Ren, type of thing. Like if he should have been
Yeah.
had his mask on pretty much entirely through the movie, so he had more mystery and
Mm-hmm.
a
You
little
know,
bit more of a cooler character.
you know what's funny too is that scene when he takes his mask off when Rey is strapped to the upward leaning chair or table or
Yeah.
whatever, and she says, "Well, I don't even know what you look like," or something like that. She says, I've never seen you without your mask," and then he just calmly takes it off. When I saw it in theaters, everyone kind of laughed. Like that actually got chuckles
Yeah,
when he took
that's the
when
moment.
he-
That's
when he-
the moment that I'm talking about.
when he
It's just
took
like-
when he took his helmet off and just kind of had that like kind of pouty 9-year-old boy look on his face, which
Yeah.
I understand he was going for that intentionally, and I thought the character of Kylo Ren worked really well. I liked him as a villain, and I was really glad to see that they didn't kill him off. I was afraid he got killed because it looked like he got beheaded at the end for a second there, but looks like he's going to stick around. But yeah, like he actually, just him showing his face was enough to get the crowd laughing at him, which to me probably was like a little bit of residual like disdain for the character of Anakin because they were so similar. But I don't know. He just doesn't really look all that badass without his mask on. I think
I think
just
it's
like
just the shape of his face. He doesn't have like a menacing shaped face.
He has a baby face.
Yeah, he looks
Yeah.
like a kid. I think maybe if he like grew out his facial hair, he would have maybe been a little more menacing. But
But then the scene at the end when they're fighting in the snow and he's got his mask off the whole time, I didn't find it distracting then. Like
No, not in that
But
scene.
at that point, I had really bought in, and I wasn't really thinking about, oh, he looks kind of like a little pouty kid. I
I
was
think
Yeah.
enough time had passed where it doesn't stick out.
yeah. I was gonna say that my least favorite character was General Hux, which I'm disappointed about because he's one of my favorite actors. He was in Ex Machina. He played like the main protagonist in that. He was in Black Mirrors, like a BBC show. He's been in a lot of stuff recently, and yet I thought his character was just like way too frigid. You guys know who I'm talking about? General.
The redheaded guy, kind of the other half of the Kylo Ren dark side, whatever you want to call it.
Right. Yeah. So he, I thought he did one scene really well, and that was kind of like the scene where he's speaking to the troops, and he's on the mic.
Yeah, that was super awesome.
Yeah, he brought like a whole lot of intensity to that, and he even made like people in the theater that I saw it in, everyone kind of gasped, and you could hear people kind of like approvingly talking to each other, like, "Oh, motherfucking, that was legit!" Like,
Yeah,
that kind of talk.
it.
Like he really brought it for that scene, but I thought he was just really, really stiff for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, he didn't stick out to me as like a character to grab onto at all, outside of that one particular scene.
Yeah, we didn't get to see a whole lot of Captain Phasma, so I don't really have.
Barely any. I remember like seeing that stormtrooper in so much stuff like pre-launch, and it was just launched like it's a video game. But like I just wanted who this shiny stormtrooper
I had a
is.
lot of hype for that character. Like I thought she was gonna be a badass. Like I wanted some badass scenes with her,
and then gets
didn't
clowned
do
on
anything.
in both the scenes she's in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She
Well,
gets tackled by Chewbacca. That's it.
there's plenty of time in episodes 8 and 9 to see where that character goes, but
Yeah.
But I was kind of expecting something along the lines of Boba Fett, just with the way the movie was marketed. But yeah. So yeah, my least favorite was Hux. My favorite was Rey. But I thought generally the whole entire new additions to the new cast did pretty good jobs, like a pretty solid performance from everybody all around. There was nobody that I thought to myself, I'm not enjoying this. And I had those moments pretty much right away in the Lucas prequels. There were moments early on when I was watching those movies when I thought like, I'm just not gonna like that character. I know it, and I didn't have that with any of these. So
Those it pretty much just goes like I can tolerate Ewan McGregor, and that's it.
I thought he was actually good as Obi-Wan. I mean, I have no
that's
complaints
pretty well.
about
Yeah,
him.
and like not so much the first ones. Like second and third, he sort of pulls it off a little better. He's more Obi-Wan-ish.
Yeah, he's got that fat ass beard and everything.
Yeah.
What was your favorite part of the story? So like for me there were three big arcs. There was the Han Solo, Leia, Kylo Ren family situation.
Mm-hmm.
There was finding Luke, and then there was the Starkiller base. Is that what it was called? The new weapon was called
Yeah,
Starkiller
the planet.
If you guys can think of any other like big plot points, I'm pretty sure those are the big three.
Did you mention Ren finding the lightsaber? Because I think that was pretty Or
In
that
what?
whole
What do you mean Ren
when
finding it? You mean Ray
not
finding it?
not Ray, yeah, not Ren. Sorry,
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
Ray finding a
I
lightsaber.
kind of put that in the category of searching for Luke, like the whole
Okay,
Luke is missing thing. But
okay.
um, yeah, what was your favorite part of the story?
Hmm.
I would say Ray playing around with her powers.
Yeah,
Yeah, figuring out
Yeah,
that she has
I
that ability.
yeah, figuring like testing herself and just in quick situations and things like that, and putting it her powers to the test. I thought that was awesome.
yeah, that's I really loved that scene at the end when Kylo Ren's trying to grab the lightsaber and then you just see it whiz right by him
Hmm.
and into her
It
hands. The
was
whole
it
crowd
was
just like roared
so
when that happened.
badass.
Yeah, and then she could actually fight too. Like that's the other thing. Like the lightsaber battles in this movie were so well choreographed.
They were really good.
Yeah,
Uh,
not
They
like
were
over
really
the top and like it
yeah.
felt floaty like in the prequels. Like there was no consequence for any of the fights. It was just like too perfect. But
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they made it seem like they were carrying like semi-heavy swords, and they carried the
Mm.
same kind of momentum as that
yeah,
sort of thing, and so it just made it like it. They looked very differently the lightsaber battle in this one, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but it's just because I think they were just going for a more realistic. This is
well, it
what
also
fencing.
helps that like all of the characters are like untrained or like semi-trained. I guess Kylo Ren sort of has
Yeah.
some training, but not a complete training.
And in the
So
first trilogy, there was a lot of like flipping and jumping and things like that as well. A lot of
yeah,
like gymnastic feats that were happening
yeah, not
mid-fight.
none of that. Yeah,
There
there were
was
times where I was expecting like Kylo Ren's gonna do like a super jump or
yeah.
something, but no, never took it.
I didn't even think
Thank
about
God.
that until just now, but yeah, you guys are
Mhm.
right. It was
Even in
all
the old ones, sometimes you get like a Luke gets a, like a big jump. No, none of
Yeah.
that.
interesting.
It was
Nick, what was
all
it?
grounded.
What was your favorite part of the story arc?
Is like Finn's stormtrooper background? Is that kind of a story arc?
Sure,
Yeah,
I
for
guess.
I
sure.
think
Yeah,
I would tie that into the Star Killer base. I mean,
yeah. I like the idea of like a stormtrooper like steering away from the Empire, or I guess the First Order.
what did you guys think of Finn just in general? Because
I liked him.
at first I thought
I
he was going
really
to be a
liked them.
little too over the top, and then after a while he grew on me. And then like the scene where he's screaming when they're taking Ray, and he's just standing there screaming Ray. Like I
Yeah,
thought, like all of them did a good job with like intensity, I think. But
Yeah.
he had a good some comedic timing.
yeah,
Um,
he really did.
him and BB-8 reining it in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did a
I'd say
really good
he's probably
job.
my favorite human new character, like actual actor.
He's pretty beloved, and the actor actually showed up to theaters in New York and London. Just surprise showed up at
Oh, that's cool.
certain showings of the film and just expressed his gratitude and hoped everyone like enjoyed the movie and stuff like that, which I thought was a pretty class act.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah. My favorite was it looks like we're doing the Holy Trinity here because my favorite was the Kylo Ren, Han Solo Leia storyline, and like the first time watching it over watching that movie, I was a little confused because I thought they were setting up Rey to be Kylo Ren's sister, but then by the end of the movie, you get the heavy impression that it's Luke's daughter, right? Like
yeah.
Yeah.
that's what you guys got from that, right? Like I just wanted
Yeah,
to be
that's what it
sure and
seemed
make
like.
sure I
It
wasn't
seems
an
what
idiot.
like a lot of people think.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
I just really dug Kylo Ren as a villain. I thought, at times I was afraid he was going to be a little too Anakin, but the fact that he did keep his mask on for most of the film. And when he's in that mask, like that scene that you mentioned, Nick, where he just goes fucking ballistic
Yeah.
on the computer after he gets the bad news about I can't remember what even the specific news was about, but he just fucking loses his shit and just
Oh,
destroys
it's
an
so
entire.
good too, because that officer's standing behind him, and you're like, I've seen this before with Vader. He's just gonna choke a bitch out. But
Everyone
no,
was
he goes and
laughing
he
in the
slashes
theater
the
with that.
computer up, and then afterwards he chokes the dude out. It was
Yeah,
perfect.
when you compare it to someone like Vader or even like to a lesser degree maybe Darth Maul in the first movie, like those characters were evil, but they were really disciplined and focused
Yeah. He's
and
just like he like I guess Sith have rage, but like it's like sort of controlled under the surface, but he's just
yeah.
like he lets it out. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
they really do a good job of conveying his being conflicted about his family by expressing that rage, so he has this sort of like teenage boy mentality to him, but he's still pretty horrifying, which is I think what they were trying to pull off with Anakin, but it didn't really work. You don't really think of him too much as of a badass by the third movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really dug that arc of the storyline and really curious to know where
I
it
bet
goes.
he's gonna be way less like angsty in the two
Yeah,
other
I feel
movies.
like it.
I feel
And
like
he's
this was
probably
like
gonna have
his formative movie.
And I feel like he's gonna have his mask on a lot more with that big nasty scar in his face as well.
I hope you're right. I mean, I think if they're
mean-
gonna give him a scar on his face, so they'll probably want to show that off.
He's all
but-
scarred up. He just killed his dad. He's gonna be super, super emo and super evil.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I
probably
hope
way more
I hope you're
powerful.
right. I hope you're right that they like kind of scale it back a little bit and give him a little bit more like calm and focus. But we'll just have to see. So, what was your least favorite part of the story?
Anytime Carrie Fisher was on the screen, I fucking
She seemed like she
hated her.
didn't care.
She
She
probably
had
cares,
no
but like,
emotion.
to be fair to Carrie Fisher, she has never been known as a good actress. Same with Mark Hamill. Outside of his voice acting, he's not a well-known actor for his like any kind of quality. I mean, God bless his Joker. But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like her talking with Han, just like I was not about any of it. Like
Like
even
if-
when they were holding each other, and it was
Really?
supposed to be like a great moment, I was just like, I hate her delivery. Her lips, the way the words go through her lips, like she has like a sort of a lisp thing going on. I don't know what's going on with her lips.
I didn't get that at all.
It
Like
felt
I
like
didn't.
every
I was
scene with-
not bothered by her at all.
With every scene Harrison Ford and her were in, it felt like the scene was being carried by Harrison Ford. It felt
Yeah.
like it wasn't two actors. It felt like it was Harrison Ford and his lady friend.
Well, she's only in
Like-
like 2 scenes. She's really only like.
But she brings
2 or
she
3
like
scenes.
But those are pretty important scenes. They move the story along. Like when
Yeah.
Rey gets introduced to Leia and all that stuff, and they're exchanging information about what's happening.
So if
Just like-
Rey is Luke's daughter, does Leia know that, and why would she not tell Rey? Do Leia and Han know that?
That's a good question.
I
guess
would
that's
assume
sort of
they wouldn't know. I would assume they don't know, like at all.
Really?
Yeah, there's a
'Cause-
lot of
Because
unanswered
that brings into
questions.
question who left her on Jakku.
Yeah, I mean,
Was
well,
it her
now there's
adopted
like
family,
there's
or...
a popular theory going around that Kylo Ren like used the Force to wipe her memory and then left her there for some reason, but I don't
but wait,
know.
how much older is he than
I
she
don't
is?
think too much
gotta be,
older.
like, around
I
the
think
same
I
age.
think he's
Probably, like, a
late
few years
20s and
older.
she's early 20s. That's how
Yeah,
I
it
saw
seemed
it.
like-
They got to
like-
be around the same age, for sure.
Yeah, I don't think that would make much sense. I've also like I haven't like confirmed this with anybody, but like, what if Rey is like a descendant of Obi-Wan somehow? Like maybe Obi-Wan got some on the side, and nobody knew about it because she's British, all right. Obi-Wan was British.
That's
I
very
don't think
true.
that Obi-Wan would have gotten any on the side, and
Why? Because Jedi's can't love. Actually,
they're
they
like
say that in the
Catholic
prequels.
priests. They're like
They say
Catholic
that in the
priests,
prequels.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to love anyone, which makes no sense when you're a Jedi. It's all about we love each other, everything's great, the light side, but we can't make babies.
They should have like a Jedi tantric kind of school, you know, where you can have like
God.
Jedi Reiki sex, where you don't even
Everybody's
touch
having sex in those like Jedi council chairs, the red ones.
it. This is why we
reverse
took sex
cowgirl.
out, guys. This is why we banned it. My least favorite part was the. But here's the thing, my least favorite part was the weapon, the planet destroying weapon.
That
And
was really weak.
I gotta say though, here's the thing. I read a lot of criticisms online about how it was really derivative of the Death Star, and that they should have gone with something a little bit more original. And I guess maybe in a sense of like how they shaped the actual ship, you know, it was basically just a planet. It was a giant like planet ship thing. Like I guess maybe then. Like you could draw like maybe too many comparisons could be drawn to the Death Star, but the idea of a weapon that can destroy entire planets or entire like solar systems or whatever, that's not something that's like that is the pinnacle of a Star War. You can't have something like a war in outer space between, you know, several different systems or whatever. You can't have that without some kind of a weapon that can destroy an entire planet. It doesn't get any bigger than that. So
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with the idea of something that's capable of destroying planets, but I thought
I was
that-
just sort of over it as a concept because, like, at the end of episode 1, we blow up like that starship thing, whatever that thing is. It looks like a half moon.
yeah,
And then in episodes 4 and 6, we destroyed the Death Star.
yeah.
So it's like 4 of the 7 movies so far, we've blown up giant space stations. It's like,
Yeah.
like I'm fine seeing it because it's explosions and like when that thing shoots at that Republic planet or whatever it is, and like you see people looking up in the sky and it's just like a big red beam.
Yeah.
That's super badass. But seeing like a big station getting blown up again is it's not the worst thing, but it's like I would have liked to see
Nah.
something different maybe.
Yeah, it wasn't enough to like piss me off or take me out of the movie, but I thought it was probably the least strong of all the stories they were trying to weave into this one tale.
The idea
but-
of like a Death Star on steroids is incredible. Because like if you look at the size of the original Death Star to the one in Episode 6, and then that
Yeah.
one next to Starkiller Base, it's like massive. I
Yeah.
think they even showed it in the movie, right? They're like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
they
showed
had
they
the
showed at
holograms.
scale.
and this is Starkiller Base,
Yeah.
and it's massive.
I thought it was cool. I thought the whole planet thing was really cool, but I just feel like it was very overdone. But the whole idea of a base that is a gigantic planet was I really dug that. But everything else about it kind of just felt old hat.
I kind of wish it would have stuck around too. If like,
Yeah, if they kind of maybe destroyed it in like the next episode,
Yeah.
the next movie, or maybe the one after that
I get
one.
I get attached to Starkiller Base a little
Yeah,
bit when I see
sure.
it. I'm like, oh damn, that thing was awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could have like knocked out its weapon systems and without blowing it up, so that you can still have like something familiar to go back to and be like, oh, that's the evil thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what did you guys think? I know we talked about it a little bit, but well, we already talked about it a little bit. I wrote down, what did you think of Kylo Ren as the villain? But we might have already talked about that a little too much. Did you guys
Sorta.
have do you guys have anything
Yeah.
else to add to that besides just just seeing his character calm down in the next one?
I don't think it was.
No,
enough
we
for me.
covered that one. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the next question I have is, do you think the film spent too much time paying homage to the original trilogy, more specifically A New Hope? Do you think that the story would have been better off standing on its own two legs, or do you think that JJ made the right move, reintroducing Star Wars to this new generation?
I think he made the right move in kind of rekindling the old stuff with the new and bringing it in with the new world type stuff, because I feel like if you do stuff that's too new, the older fans won't like it and the newer fans won't understand, or things like that. So I think he did a good job of balancing the two things, of bringing old stuff into the new and
It's kind of interesting.
making up new things.
It's kind of interesting when you think about the fact that that's still crazy to me when I think about that. He was handed both Star Trek and Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was asked to reboot both of these series, and I'm glad that you could tell that he was a little bit more careful this time around. I mean, there's no way he couldn't have felt that kind of pressure, but
I think he declined the offer originally to do.
that's
this
what I
movie.
heard. Yeah, and I heard that Steven Spielberg was approached as well.
That'd be interesting.
or at least approached in the sense of give us feedback on who we should tap. And
Yeah.
I guess Spielberg was the one that was really pushing for JJ to get this project. I was a little on the fence about it. Like sometimes I felt like I wished I would have seen a little bit more new,
Yeah.
just kind of new stuff in
I
general.
flip-flopped.
But then there were other times where I mean, like there was one scene like I cried. You know what I mean? Like I was crying in the movie theater because I felt so nostalgic. So so I was torn. I don't think I have like a concrete opinion.
Wait, what scene
Yeah.
did you cry at?
I don't want to tell you. No, it was when Leia was holding Rey when Han died.
Oh yeah, that was pretty good.
I mean, it wasn't specifically just that scene, but just like everything that had just happened leading up to it. But it was also like the fact that I was so happy.
Yeah.
At this point, it was like an hour and a half into the movie, and I just, I wasn't worried about it not being awesome anymore. I was just able to just sit back and really enjoy it. Did you think it paid too much homage, Nick, or did you were you happy with it?
flip-flop on it. I like if the intent is to reintroduce Star Wars to people that have seen it before and get like kids into it, then yeah, it did a great job because it feels familiar. All like the main cast, they all have like the same roles as the original, like Luke, Han, and Leia. They all sort of exchange characteristics, like Rey's the female, but she's also has the Force, and like this guy kind of has like he's charismatic like Han, but
Yeah.
they spread him out, and you get like the pilot stuff with Poe, like taken from Luke.
Yeah, they did a good job of making these characters really different too. Because when
Yeah,
you think about it,
distributed well.
when you think about it, Finn is almost like a mashup of Han Solo and C-3PO, and
Yeah.
and Rey is like, you can't even compare her to anybody in the old trilogy because she's just like pretty confident right off the boot, and that wasn't Luke's story.
Yeah, she's been
Luke's
surviving on
story.
her own.
Yeah, she's been out there doing shit for a while, and even Poe, like, I thought that I was gonna get more of a Han Solo. Actually, Poe is probably most similar to Han Solo, but yeah, I don't know. I think I'm happy with it. I think I'm fine with the amount of nostalgia that was in there.
It could go either way. I
Yeah.
think like on the other side of it, I just wish I would have seen more new stuff because with this movie coming out, like, well, I mean, this happened a few months ago when they retconned like all of the lore after episode 6. Like all of the books and like the stories from
Right.
like video games and series,
Yeah.
all that stuff is gone. So currently the only thing that you have for like post Return of the Jedi is this movie that is actual canon, so that sort of sucks. But I think like the more stuff we get, I'll be easier about it.
I think
I'm much more willing to go into this universe than the prequels.
Oh, absolutely.
And it
Yeah.
feels
for sure.
feels like it's not like disjointed feeling like going back to the prequels. It's like we went back in time, but for some reason like the technology is better and everything is way cooler and shinier, and then we get to the old movies and everything's like run down. But
No, you could tell. I mean, this movie looks and feels markedly different than Lucas's prequels. Because when you think about it too, there was such that heavy emphasis on practical effects, and they didn't do. You didn't have these huge, large scale. Let me think about what I'm trying to say here. At the end of Phantom Menace, you had that big ass battle, right? The big ass battle where Jar Jar's fighting with the Gungans.
Yeah.
And fighting again.
Yeah.
Like you didn't have that kind of a CG fest in
you had
this
like
movie.
a little bit with
the
Poe
scenes,
because he's flying around Starkiller Base. Like
Yeah,
but it was very short. It was just little bits, just enough to satisfy you.
it wasn't like I was looking at thousands of ships in the air.
Yeah.
I was looking
Yeah.
at like 20 or 30, you know,
To
and
be
and
fair,
and
Episode 3, the Battle of Coruscant, which is what it opens with all those ships flying everywhere, still badass. I will stand by
no,
that.
that is a good scene. I've just watched episode 3 again just recently, and
Like that opening is so fucking badass. I love
It
that.
is really good.
But I'm talking about like space battles. I'll put that in a different category. But all the actual like combat involving lightsabers and guns and things like that. It was groups of
Not
maybe
seeing
100
clone
or a couple
armies.
hundreds. You're not seeing these giant, vast, expansive, never-ending sea of droids armies. You're not seeing that in this movie.
Even
And
like
I
that
liked
scene where,
that. It made
where
it small.
Hux is giving the speech with all the stormtroopers. It's not like in episode 2 where you see like all the clone troopers and it's
No,
so
yeah, it's probably like a
ridiculous how
few
many there are.
thousand.
Yeah, it's like a reasonable amount of people. It's like I could maybe imagine you getting this many people, but obviously they didn't because that would be just too much. But
What did you guys think of Supreme Leader Snoke? Is that his name? Snoke or Snope? I think it's Snoke.
I think it's Snoke.
I think it's
Snoke.
Yeah. What did you think of that character in Andy Serkis's performance?
Oh, that's Andy Serkis?
It's Andy Serkis, man. Yeah.
I mean, he is the CGI guy, or like the mocap guy, I guess. I'm like super bleh on him.
I'm
either like
kinda
either
having a
for or
brain fart.
against.
Here.
He's
You can't picture him.
He's like essentially like the new emperor.
He's the giant.
Oh yeah,
He's
the
the
giant
giant.
projection.
Okay, yeah. I had that's Andy.
I don't know why he was a hologram and why he like it's like it makes him more evil that he's so big as a
Yeah.
hologram, but like
Makes him more menacing.
it's so inconvenient because like if he's a hologram and he's looking down, right? Wouldn't like he's sitting in a chair somewhere out in his like evil space office, looking down at the ground so he looks more menacing during this hologram,
Hey,
right?
when you're the Sith Lord, you got to take away some things for comfortability's sake.
Yeah.
Be that badass.
You think for convenience they would just make his hologram smaller so the other people don't have to stand and like stare up the entire time? But
Yeah, it's bad for people's necks.
I think it depends on what they do in episode 8 and 9. Like how his character stands the test of time. We'll have to see just how it pans out. Because I think they were trying to set him up to be this ultimate badass, but it doesn't really stick with you. He only has like a couple of scenes, and
Yeah.
you have no idea who he is or what he's capable of. Is he a force user or
Yeah,
no,
we don't know
None of
anything.
these questions.
And I
are
think
asked.
that's why I kind of liked him. Honestly.
Yeah, very
Because
ambiguous.
there's a lot of mystery behind him, and I want to know more about his like background and.
And if they spent
things
too
like
much
that.
time focusing on him, then it would have taken away maybe from the focus
yeah.
of what
Yeah,
they had. And
exactly.
So I get that, but I do want to know more about him in the next episode.
And if we look at like the old movies, like we don't even see the emperor in the first movie at all.
right.
And so like we can't really complain about not getting enough when like that's sort of historically been the way it is.
What did you guys think of what was the character's name that was that alien that was hanging on to Luke's lightsaber and who gave it to Rey in the first place, but then
Oh, I forget what her name is.
her character was a little weird, huh? She didn't really do much.
Apparently, we're talking about like the little orange old lady.
Yeah, with
Yeah,
the glasses,
Yeah, I read that.
I found out
the
was
goggles.
is done by Lupita Nyong'o.
Who is that
of,
again? Who else is she?
12 Years a Slave, I believe. I
Yeah.
didn't actually see that, but I believe she's in that movie. That was like so strange. I was like, these mocap people, like, I didn't even realize, which I guess is good because that's your job.
I also read that they originally had shot much longer scenes, but J.J. Abrams was unhappy with how they turned out, so they ended up cutting a lot from her character, which makes sense because that character is just kind of weird, right? Like they show up on I can't even remember what planet they were on at this point. Were they still on Jakku? I think they were.
No, they were on
No,
like
it
it was
wasn't
sort of
Jakku.
like a foresty planet, like there
That
were
one.
there were
Yeah,
like
yeah,
some
yeah.
lakes and stuff.
So they're on that planet, and then somehow did Han know about her, and that's why he took Rey?
Well, I
to
think
her? How did they end up
they
at
were,
that
They were
planet
talking
again?
when they were walking up, and I think he said like, I guess this is sort of like Star Wars, like Star Wars-ish, where they're just like, she'll know that we're coming here or something like that, or like this is the place that we need to be. It's like we don't know why we're supposed to be here, but the Force brought us here or something like that.
Yeah, I think
Sort
if
of mysterious.
I want to know more about her character. Otherwise, I mean, if her character
Yeah.
isn't present like a lot in episodes 8 and 9, then she's
It'll feel
really,
very shoehorned in.
yeah, like a throwaway. Like they just needed this to serve this specific plot point, but they didn't spend a whole lot of time on it.
And you also gotta
Even
wonder.
her scene, you get the tavern. You gotta have a tavern scene.
Yeah.
And you gotta wonder how much Rule 34 between her and Chewbacca is out on the internet right now.
Wait, what? What'd you say?
I want a gif of her putting her little eyeglass thing over her eye, and then like I will caption it like looking at your dick, where it like zooms in.
She expressed her interest in Chewbacca in the movie. Like she
Oh.
said, "Where's my boyfriend at?"
Oh,
he
yeah,
said,
yeah, yeah.
And he said Chewie's fixing up the shit. And I was like, I said, I wonder how much Rule 34 there is between those two characters now on the
There
internet.
has to be already.
There
There's
has to
pages,
be
What
a
is
ton.
what's Rule 34?
If it exists, there's porn of it. That's basically what Rule 34
I
is.
see. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a new one for me. Is that a new thing? I've never
Oh
heard
No,
no,
of
this has
it's
been on
been-
the internet forever,
that.
Hutch.
For-
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of, because it was my fucking favorite scene in the movie. What did you guys think when Finn pulls up his lightsaber and you just hear this traitor, and you look around and there's a fucking badass goddamn, what are they called again? The not droids, the clones. What are those things? Stormtroopers. Wow, I
Stormtroopers,
sound
yeah.
like an idiot. And then he just like unravels his little fucking Jedi blade resistant technology thing.
It was
that
fucking
scene was
awesome.
like, that scene was just the pin. I wanted to stand up and clap my fucking dick off.
That
after
was
that scene happened.
so badass.
I didn't like that scene at all.
What? Have
Oh
you seen?
my
Wait,
God.
have you seen the GIF remix where people put like a candy cane on it, and it's Finn's lightsaber is a candy cane, and then the stormtrooper is dressed up in like a giant candy cane outfit, and he's twirling a candy cane. No,
Jeez.
If I can get confirmation that stormtrooper had a weapon that has materials in it that wouldn't be destroyed by a lightsaber, then I won't ask any more questions.
that's okay. No, but here's the thing: they talked about that leading up into this movie.
They did? Okay,
yeah,
good.
they have specific like Jedi resistant technology.
Yeah,
like
I know that there are
stormtroopers.
materials in the Star Wars universe that like won't be destroyed by lightsabers.
And you would think that they would be smart enough to arm their stormtroopers with something like that when they are hunting the Jedi.
yeah, I
No,
suppose
it
that
makes
sense.
it makes sense.
It's a good. I guess it's a good introduction to like, is Finn gonna be a Jedi? Is he capable of handling himself with a lightsaber?
Yeah. I don't know. That scene for me was just like the ultimate badass.
Are we
scene.
going over favorite scenes? 'Cause I can tell you
No,
which
yeah,
one
I was just about to say that's a good segue. We can talk
This is
about
the one
like
that
what are
the one that I teared up at is immediately when they take the Millennium Falcon and Rey like navigates it through the ship. After that ended, like they blast away. Like I
yeah.
started getting teary eyed.
when they did the
It was
barrel
so
when they did the
great.
barrel roll and then ended up behind him and then shot him and like Yeah, that
that
scene
whole
was-
thing. It was like I was
That-
like, yeah, this is Star Wars.
there were a lot of standing ovations in that movie.
And even
when I
like
saw it.
before that, when they're running to get in the ship and they're running through that other ship, and then the Finn's like, "What about that other one?" She's like, "That's a garbage ship."
Yeah.
The one blows up. She's like, "We're taking the garbage ship."
One of my friends on Facebook posted like a really detailed critique of the movie. He did not like it, and he was the only friend the only one that said that they didn't like it. So I took the time and I read his entire critique. And one of the things he said was that he hated how convenient it was that the Millennium Falcon was just right there. But to me, in my mind, it's like that's so forgivable in the world of Star Wars.
Star
Like,
Wars
Everything
is
is
a universe
convenient
of
in Star Wars.
conveniences.
Yes, that's-
everything is in Star Wars is absolutely so convenient.
Especially Episode 7. Like there are so many things that you just have to chalk up to be like, it's convenient. Like R2 woke up after Han died, which I guess
Yeah.
you could explain as like Luke felt something in the Force when Han died.
No,
he woke up R2.
They explained that actually. I think JJ and the writers explained that, and that was that their idea behind that was that BB-8 had walked up to R2 when he was asleep and said something to him to the effect of, I have this part of the key and I hear you have another part of the key. Will you wake? He basically, like, you don't see it happen, but that was the logic behind that, which I thought was kind of weird, because wouldn't you want to have that specifically be pointed out as something that happened instead of just relying on the audience member's ability to kind of piece that together, maybe? So
yeah, my assumption, because they said something like Luke must have put him to sleep or something like that, didn't they?
Yeah.
So I assume like Luke
said he was a
felt
low
like
power mode
Han
or
died
something.
with the Force, and then he woke R2 up because he was like, okay, we got to start doing shit now.
See, I find that way more believable than the BB-8 thing.
Yeah,
Honestly.
that's sort of
I feel
strange.
I want to say I want to say that I read that for sure though.
I feel like Luke having the power to do that when it's R2D2 and they have that kind of friendship connection is way more believable than a random droid waking up R2D2 with no connection, you know?
Okay, here's one. Were you expecting Luke to be evil, and were you disappointed to find out that, well, presumably that he's not. We don't know that he's not. He could be evil. They could start start episode 8 with a fight between Luke and Rey.
When
episode 8 opens where he takes the lightsaber, he like force grabs it from her hand
chops her
and
fucking
then
head off.
and cuts her head off, and then there's no other movies.
Roll credits.
trying to figure out what I want to say here. When he was talking, when we found out that Ren was his apprentice and he turned evil, I expected Luke to kind of fall into whatever a Jedi's form of depression is and become evil as well.
You got that space sadness.
Yeah, that space Jedi sadness, and I honestly expected that to kind of like dissuade him completely from the Force, and
that's got to be
the only dark side.
That's got to be the only explanation for his solitude, right? Because if he's a Jedi, then he's sworn a solemn oath to protect the cosmos. He's like a sworn protector. So if he deliberately put himself in solitude, knowing that there's a danger out there, that there's a threat to his friends and, you know, innocent people, then like the only thing I can think of that would have made him do that is just extreme disappointment. You know, he lost Obi-Wan, he lost like a lot of people that were close to him, and then he has his apprentice go bad. Maybe he was just afraid. You know what I mean? Like, what other explanation can you think of that he would have been on that planet by himself? Like, what's he doing over there? Is he working on a Jedi weapon, or is he trying to work on specific training?
Starkiller Base 2.
Starkiller Base 2 Destroyer. He's thinking proactively.
Oh yeah, he's countering.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, what did you guys think of that?
I thought there was a possibility that he could have been evil. It would have been cool to see him be evil, but for the overall story, I'm glad that he's, for now, I guess, seems to be a light side guy.
Me too. I'm happy with it too. But I thought he was going to be evil, and I was hoping he was going to be evil. But I was still totally okay with how.
I mean, that little tiny shot that you see with him putting his hand where he has the cloak up on R2.
Yeah,
like, it looks kind of evil. Like he
pretty
could
sinister.
Be doing something bad.
Yeah.
I think he was on that planet by himself, working on his very long, leering stare to make someone feel uncomfortable for as long as possible.
I didn't think that was the best stare.
I thought the ending scene was terrible.
I think it was
the ending scene was really bad.
It hung. It just. I was like, what are we waiting
for?
Why?
If I'm trying to hand someone something and they're gonna make me sit there that long so a camera can do a full 6 spins around me, I'm gonna throw it at them at that point.
Maybe
Luke
is old.
What are you doing?
Luke is old and he has dementia and he's not he doesn't even recognize that Rey is there.
Oh crap! Luke has early onset Alzheimer's.
Just a blind stare. Has nothing going on.
Rey shows up expecting him to teach her the ways of the Force, and he just can't even wipe his own ass because he's.
What if he's
wearing
a diaper?
Talks
like Yoda now? He's the master.
God.
So Luke talks like Yoda.
So you mentioned camera movements, though. I want to talk about real quick, like JJ.
Very JJ.
The way that he shot action in this movie, I loved it. What did you guys think? Like, I thought
I always love action movies that let me see the action.
Yeah.
He does a pretty good job of that.
That's always a plus.
He does a good job of doing those quick camera zooms and then quick zoom out, and then also like a what do you call it? Like a swaying shot, like a moving shot. He knows how to craft action scenes really, in a way that can be easily seen. What's the word I'm looking for? Like he's really transparent about it. He doesn't use quick cuts to kind of like hide things. Like he does a good job of getting you to feel tension with the way that he cuts it. I don't know if he's in the editing bay telling people how he wants it cut or if that's the editor's job to
Probably
do that,
to some extent.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought the actions like particularly the lightsaber, like that first scene when he stops the fucking laser that post shot at
Oh,
him.
that
Yeah.
was so good.
That was super
It was the perfect extension of that ability too, because in Empire you see Darth Vader just like deflect Han shots.
Yeah.
But this he just full on stops it and just like holy shit.
Like,
I
and
didn't
it
think
like
that
really
was
like
possible.
right out the gate it showed you how fucking powerful that character was. Like instantly. As soon as he sets
And-
foot out the ship, he
yeah,
stops
and-
a sniper shot.
And ruthless too. You know, I made a mental note of that too. When he got out of the ship, you could tell he was like eager, anxious, like really like energetic. He was not like Vader calmly walking
No.
down and
Yeah.
letting everyone's fear waft
He's
over them.
stomping
and
all over the place.
He's
Yeah, he's
stomping
skipping
around, and then
along.
as soon as he comes out there, like, he threatens the old guy to asking about where the information about Luke Skywalker is. And he says, "Don't forget where your family." And then he just fucking chops his head off. Like, what a way to open the movie too, you know. And then Finn not firing his blaster as they're shooting the entire like.
Oh, and
town.
he just looks over at him.
Yeah,
and
because
gets
he
on
felt
a ship.
it. He felt someone was uneasy, and like he knew something was wrong.
That was a really good scene, man. I thought it was such a great way to open a new trilogy. You know what I mean? It set the
Yeah.
tone for the whole movie.
Was it just me, or did the stormtroopers seem more chubby in this movie?
I what?
No, am I alone in that?
What?
Like, it
I don't
seemed like
think so.
their armor was a little more wide than usual. I don't know. I guess I'm alone. I felt like they would overall look a little more chubby than usual.
No,
It might just be like the new armor. The new armor looks different.
Can we talk about
Maybe.
Rey? Can we talk about Rey real quick? Did you guys think that she was worthy of being the single most badass good character?
Oh hell yeah! I
Yeah.
thought she was awesome.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great character.
That's a lot of pressure too. Imagine being
Oh,
a
yeah.
young actress and it's like I can
Like,
imagine
I've never
people. I can
seen her in
imagine people
anything
saying
else.
no to that because like that's just so much pressure. But I've heard nothing but universal praise for her.
She was really great.
yeah.
She was a
And her
great
character's
actor.
great.
She's really great at acting, and I want to see her how that character develops for sure.
Did you could you forgive Finn's American accent for the entire movie? Because he's a UK actor. He's got
Yeah.
I never really picked up on any time where I was like, it sounds like he's trying to do an accent.
It didn't.
Although I
it
wasn't
felt-
really listening for it.
Yeah, I wasn't either. I'm gonna go see it again this week, so maybe I'll pay a little bit more attention. Because he was in a. I remember when I saw his face in the movie. I remember him in Attack the Block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that movie is very accent heavy. Like it's
Oh, yeah,
sometimes hard to
super,
know what
yeah.
they're saying, and especially him. He has a very heavy accent. So knowing that, I felt like he did a really good job.
Hey, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that movie was hard
Well,
to listen to.
Nick, you
It's a
gotta
subtitle movie.
you gotta go soon, so I don't want to hold you up too long. Can we just can I get your thoughts real quick? And then I think we might be able to close it out. We actually covered quite a bit here, but what are your hopes for episode 8 and beyond?
I don't know if it's really a hope. It's just sort of an assumption. It's just like everybody's gonna get their characters or get a little more fleshed out. Which I mean, that's what you do in movies. Just the more time you have with the characters, the more you get to know them. So I guess the more stuff that is like this post Return of the Jedi universe, I just want to see more, and I want to consume all of it. Like I'm already trying to get like books. I want books. I want comic books. I want video games. I want everything. I'm very hopeful. Like I wasn't in love with the movie overall. I'd say like out of 10, I'm like a 7. I'm like a solid 7.
Okay.
out of 10.
What? Wait, hold on, because I'm trying to piece together throughout the. You haven't really spoken up too vocally about things that you really didn't like. So what dropped it down to a 7?
Like the middle when they meet up with the alien chick with the glasses, just like suddenly it's like, oh hey, by the way, I have the Force now. Just like sort of sneaks up on you.
So maybe
Carrie
a little
Fisher's
too,
acting,
maybe a little too convenient storytelling.
Yeah, I guess then you can throw it back at me with the whole convenient Star Wars stuff. Like
Conveniently, there's a lightsaber in the basement.
I didn't like the whole CGI alien stuff in Han's freighter. I thought that stuff I was like, I could have lived without it.
It was a little over the top, but I thought there
yeah.
were some funny moments in that scene though. Like we didn't even talk about
You get Han
Harrison
time, so
Ford,
that's-
but he did such a great job in this. Like he kind of has a reputation of seeming really disinterested in everything in the entire universe. But I thought he brought a really well needed like lighthearted comedic tone to the movie.
as soon as he came on the screen, it was like it felt like home. It was like, this
Yeah.
is Star Wars. This is what it's supposed to be. We got Han here. At least if anything could go wrong, and we still have Han.
Yeah.
As far as like Starkiller Base, I'm super blah on. Like a lot of my stuff that I would be considered negatives are mostly like stuff that I'm just sort of like 50-50 on.
You know what's funny? I actually knew that Han Solo was gonna die.
I
knew
spoiled to
from
me
So
like
did
before
I.
went in.
I'm pretty sure everyone in your
I got it. I got it spoiled to me in a YouTube comment, but I spoiled it for
Same.
myself like a year and a half ago because
Wait, how?
there were reports online of extras coming out and saying, "Yo, we were just working on the movie and Han Solo fucking dies." It came out. It leaked a long time ago, and I just hoped that it wasn't true. But that's a side note. Bunny, what are your hopes for 8 and beyond?
I want to see the creative ways to use the Force, because I thought they did a really good job with that in this one. Like, we've seen all, like, pretty much everything that you can do with the Force, but I would like to see little creativity things done with it. I want to see Rey.
Just small stuff like stopping a blaster shot.
Yeah, and it literally sat there through that entire encounter.
Just
like,
tweak
it was
all
just
the stuff
there.
that we know already and make it more
Yeah,
badass.
yeah, just make it more interesting to see on screen, because we've already seen it so much already.
Yeah.
I want to see Rey grow more and become more powerful. I want to see her in a lot more badass fight scenes. I want more info on the big Sith Lord baddie and things like that. And yeah, that's pretty much all I can think of right now. And I want to see Finn do more things, because I really want him to be a Jedi as well. I really do want to see Finn to be a Jedi.
That'd be interesting.
I can't remember if they said he was Force sensitive or not. I think I remember.
I think he was, like, he had something there was a certain something that he had that he can sense some things and things like that. Like, there was something about him that it was very Force sensitive.
That'd be crazy. Go from Stormtrooper to Jedi.
Yeah, I want to see that. Like, that would be such a cool transition, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you on seeing like cool new ways for them to visually show you what the Force can do. I think like you touched on something really good there. They did a really good job of that in this movie, but it also ties into the theme of, like, I think what I want most for 8 and 9 is, like, okay, we've had the reintroduction. You've introduced Star Wars to a new generation. You did a good job paying homage to the original films. Now I want to see what you can do. Like, now I want to see this.
Yeah.
I want to see this story really branch off and differentiate itself from
New planets,
the
new
previous
characters, things like that.
Exactly, yeah, and then even a new focus too, because the focus of the first trilogy and the second trilogy has been on the Skywalker family, and like, I imagine that will be the same, provided that Daisy is actually Luke's daughter. But who knows? Like, she might not be. But
Very well could not be.
Felt like they were heavily hinting at that, or she might be related to someone else that we haven't even thought of yet. I don't know, but like I want to
She's
see
Watto's child
which one's Watto.
from episode 1, the guy that owns Annie. And,
Oh, God.
and his mom. Shut, Watto.
A very distant relative, perhaps.
Jesus.
I
But
see
yeah,
the resemblance.
but I do want to see this movie kind of like really take off and not worry about catering to fans' nostalgia as much in this movie. You know, I thought they did a good job of being concerned with that and doing like paying proper homage. But like my girlfriend, for example, she came out of the theater saying like she really liked it, she thought it was fun, but she didn't want it to be an homage to A New Hope. I don't think we were all expecting that either. I
wasn't. I was expecting like just this is a new tale in the Star Wars universe, but it ended up being like a spiritual successor.
I kind of expected going into that they'd kind of be something like that, because it would make sense for like the first of a new trilogy since, when was episode 3 last released? It was like
2005?
2005 or 6.
That long, and especially since, the episode 6, that long away from the series, I kind of felt like an homage was the proper way to do it.
It's a good time to do it, I suppose.
Yeah.
Even if it's not something I necessarily want.
Yeah.
Maybe it's what I needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I needed less Dutch angles from JJ as well. There were too many.
Dutch angles? What's a Dutch angle?
Just tilted.
Yeah.
Tilted. He likes to do them. And like every time he did a Dutch angle, I was like, this isn't Star Trek, stop.
But did you notice there wasn't any lens flare in the movie? So he's making progress.
There was a little
There
lens
wasn't any
flare.
of that, but also all of like the like New Order stuff, like all of their shit seemed super bright compared to like the Empire stuff. I don't know if that was like a choice, but it seemed like there were buttons everywhere.
Okay, no, wait a second. I know I keep saying we're gonna get off, but I need you guys to clarify something for me. What's the difference between the New Order and the Republic? Because in the movie they make distinctions like this isn't the Republic, this was the New Order. Was the New Order like kind of like the Opus Dei of the Catholic Church? Like they're a really specific fanatic
It's more like
I'm not sure.
sect.
It's more like the Third Reich.
But
Yeah.
what is
Honestly.
their relationship to the Republic? Are they a
Yeah, I'm
part of
not
the
sure,
Republic or are they?
It feels like they're like a branch.
That's what
of the
I got,
Republic.
that they were
It
like kind of
feels-
like the Green Berets of the Republic. Or
Because
something
what
like that.
the Third Reich was a branch of the Nazi regime, right?
I don't know.
I
What?
got
Oh yeah. The Third Reich.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
so that's kind of what the First Order is. They are the Third Reich to the Republic regime, so to speak. That's what it seems like.
Yeah, I'm not positive
Because
like,
they
what
were
the
very-
political lines are.
They
here.
were they were very heavy Nazi-ish in this movie. for
Oh
sure.
yeah. That whole
Like,
speech, it
yeah.
felt like I was watching like Nazis in the future.
Yeah. They are basically neo-Nazis.
All right, that's my last
At this
question. So
point.
I am going to end it just because I said we're going to end it for like the last 15 minutes. But Nick, thanks for coming on last minute. Appreciate your
Thanks for having
contribution
me.
to the discussion.
Thank you.
If people want to find you on Twitter, where can they find you?
Twitter.com/NFEN, NFEN.
Bunny, do you? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Saying NFEN out loud doesn't really get anything across.
Yeah, it could be spelled a few different ways, I guess. Bunny, do you have some social media things that you want to talk about?
Yes, the podcast Twitter channel is Podcast Chill on Twitter. I know a few times I said that we were going to be doing this episode. I apologize for the delay. There's been a lot of scheduling things in the way. But you can also find our podcast on SoundCloud. The link will be in the description to on the YouTube video. It's where you can sync it up to your phone and things like that. So you can listen to it on the go. You don't have to have YouTube open on your phone all the time. You don't have to be connected to the internet.
I love
All that good
SoundCloud.
stuff. It's the best. It's been really good. I've actually been listening to a bunch of podcasts on it, and it's really nice.
It's great for
Um,
everything, music, podcasts, all that shit.
It's really good. You can also find me. My personal Twitter is ActaBunnyFufu. Hutch's Twitter is what?
Oh my God, it's Hutch. Z0MG. It's Hutch. If you
And
just
there you
search
go.
Hutch, you'll find it.
And I think that's it on the whole social media front.
That is it. I think we're probably going to end up taking a break this week for Christmas because you're going to be gone until
Yeah, I'll be gone till Monday.
So the next episode that you guys will get will be looks like it'll be the first of
And we should have a
January.
guest for next week as well. I think I have one lined up.
We'll have a guest. We'll
Yeah,
figure it
I
out.
think she's down for it.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming
It's
on.
Captain Phasma.
Yeah, it is.
I would love to have Gwendolyn Christie come on. So if anyone has her PR agent's number or something, thank you guys so much for coming on, and thank you guys for listening to the episode. And have a good week. All right, bye bye.